What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Schneid. It's Wednesday, so we're drafting, and I got a very special guest. It's the first guest in the history of the show, in the history of the channel, first guest ever, and I couldn't ask for a better one. So appreciate you coming on. Everybody knows the man, the myth, the mystery, the legend, the OG, the best ball OG, James Brimacombe, aka Eaglezzz. James, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. Yeah. So first one, that's nice. That just means it's gonna be uphill from here. So
Yeah, we're doing a best ball mania, so hopefully we can run deep on this sucker. So we'll see how it works out. We had a chat about me being Canadian and not having to pay taxes, which is awesome if you live in Canada. So it also costs me more to enter these things. So
there you go. So I'm thinking if I win the 3 million, I'm Canadian citizen. Maybe I don't claim my prize money. I go move back home to Canada, then claim it. I don't know how that works.
might be worth it for this to save on taxes there.
There you go.
You
My
might
wife would be cool with that.
yeah, having a family might get in the way of that, I guess. But so yeah, we're gonna get into it today. We are definitely gonna be drafting. I want to be a little bit time conscious for James, but again, thanks for coming on. If you have anything to plug away, James, plug away. So go ahead with that. Definitely follow him on Twitter. You got his @ right there on Twitter. One of the best follows on Twitter, in my opinion. We've been connected for a while on there. So plug away if you have anything to plug, James.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, just I've loved best ball right from the start. When I started playing back in the day, the MFL 10s, it just evolved and grew. And then I just kind of shared my love for the game just kind of on Twitter, and I've kind of kept with that. So anything I see, I just basically I'll just share with everyone. If I'm seeing values, if I'm come up with a spreadsheet on my own and I see something, I'm going to share that. So yeah, give me a follow there. Reach out, DM, whatever you need for the best ball space. I'm happy to help and happy to chime in and look at rosters or whatever constructions. I love feedback too. When I post something, I know I'm not doing it correct all the time. I'm also at Football Guys, so I know we did a best ball guide that's out there. You go to the website, you can find that. It'll cost you an email address, and that will give you over 60 pages. I wrote a bunch of strategy on there. Same with Dave Kluge. So we worked hard on that this summer. A few other contributors there as well. So I think that's good for beginners or even more advanced. So there's some good nuggets in there, and I also have my rankings over there. So probably need to update them because yeah, as things go, rankings ADP changes daily. So
Yeah, I just deleted. I deleted all mine the other day, and I'll restart that. I like to kind of do that. Delete my my rankings in Underdog, and then restart them, and literally just start from scratch. I like to and draft a few in between with just going off of ADPs and kind of take it from there. So yeah, that's definitely something I like to do throughout the summer. And speaking of spreadsheets, I wanted to show you something I built and get your opinion on it. So this is something I built with the help of ChatGPT to give me this ranking. I kind of built a formula going off of yards per carry, catches per carry, that sort of a thing, touchdowns, and then weighting them with importance in what my opinion of importance is. And then kind of building it out that way and then color coding it. Obviously they're ranked. And then this is last year's numbers. Then if I think they went up or down, if they got better or worse, then I have that in there. And then, like I said, color coded. Then I've got all the teams here with their playoff schedule, 15, 16, 17. I know we talked about it pre-show. We talked about it last year as well. And I know you tweeted about it. And I subscribe to this as well. Week 17 correlation is great, but you got to get there. So, you gotta win one of 16 twice in the Best Ball Mania finals to even get to week 17. So just looking at other matchups that you can potentially take advantage of, even if they're just one-offs, that's something that I look for. So I kind of keep this up while I'm drafting and figure out matchups and some any kind of edge I can get. So what are your thoughts on that?
yeah, I think anything like this is valuable, especially when you're putting in the work yourself and you're diving in these numbers and kind of coming up because it kind of sticks with you. It sticks in your head. It's not just coming and looking at a cheat sheet and somebody else's work. So you're invested in this, and yeah, like I think any edge you can find is a good edge, and especially if you have the time to sit down on a computer and draft and to do all those things one draft at a time. I think that's kind of the way to go.
Yeah.
And I think that's value. I don't know. Have you shared this to the public, or is this something you just kind of keep
No,
close
I
to the
shared
vest?
on I've shared it on all my streams that I've done so far, just to kind
Right
of
on.
tell people, yeah, build your own. Like, don't take my word for it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm certainly not perfect. I'm not gonna. I'm most likely certainly not gonna win Best Ball Mania 4, right? But this is just something that I do, so it's just kind of encouraging other people. Build something for yourself, and like you said, when it's you're putting in the time and the effort and the information, and like I said, I built my own kind of formula for this
Mhm.
grading scale here. So if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, then it's on me. It's there's no one else to blame. Not that you shouldn't take other people's advice, because you absolutely should. People like yourself, sorry, Herzig, the Spike Week guys, Liam, all these types of guys that have won tons of money, done tons of drafts, and their track record speaks for themselves. But yeah, just I like to kind of put the onus on myself and build something out that I'm gonna live or die with. So yeah, I just think everybody should do your own rankings. Go about it your own way. There's no one size fits all with this. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, no, I agree in that. There's so much content out there right now, and this is the year that we've been flooded with it, right? On podcast streams and content sites and just YouTube channels and whatnot. Like everyone has something to say about it, and I think that's great, and I love to see it. I love to see the product grow. But at the same time, I think you take it all in and you're like, oh, I want to take this nugget or this nugget from this person. And you combine it and you have your own thoughts as well. And you combine everything and you kind of come up with your own strategies, your own rankings and whatnot. And I think that's kind of how I've tried to build my own edge. I don't know if I have an edge, but sometimes I feel like I do. As far as Best Ball Mania, this is the fourth year I've been plugging away and trying on that, and I still have yet to make a finals team. So when you say, I know maybe I push back a little on the week 17 stuff or whatnot, and maybe that's why. So because I'm grumpy, I haven't made that finals, I haven't cracked that final. So what's the point of me going all in on the week 17? I've obviously done well on puppies and different contests as well, and I haven't focused on week 17. But yeah, so yeah, take it all in and kind of make your own plan and just kind of have fun with this whole concept.
Yeah, 100%. Take some nuggets from everybody else. Build your own thing out as well, and sky's the limit, sort of thing. And I haven't made a Best Ball Mania finals either. So there you go. But with respect to time, let's jump into this. Let's get into some player takes. Hopefully, this is what people came for. I'm sure people came for the draft, but we'll try to blow through this relatively quickly and get to drafting. This is a big one, hot topic. The 49ers situation. What's your thoughts on the QB situation there? They brought in Sam Darnold, obviously. Trey Lance is coming back from injury. Brock Purdy is the leader in the clubhouse, says the coaching staff and GM. So what are your thoughts with the San Francisco 49ers situation there?
Yeah, I think it's a kind of a fantasy avoid for me. So I'm just out completely. Like maybe 20 round drafts. I think about it as a third QB on one of these guys. Honestly, I just don't think, even if we knew the starter there, I don't know if that starter is gonna win you a tournament, regardless. If it is Purdy all the way and he's healthy and all the way to the end, maybe I want to take shots on him. But I don't know. To me, it's just an avoid. I have 0% of all these guys. I'll just let other people take them. I'm not 0% on 49ers. I love Brandon Ayuk. I'm drafting a lot of Debo Samuel. I was off him last year. I'm back in on him this year. He just works better in my builds. So I think it doesn't matter which one of those QBs is there. I think the offense is going to be still great. So
Yeah.
I'm going more fading those QBs and going for the receivers. Kittle as well. McCaffrey, I bumped down a little bit. I'm just trying to get the high end receivers there in the top half of those drafts. I like the running backs in round 2 kind of just as much as him almost.
Yeah, I like the ADP for Debo. So I find him falling into my lap a fair amount, and people are just seeming like they don't want to click that name. So, even quite a bit after ADP, you can get him into the 40s sometimes, which is interesting. And I'm clicking his name pretty much every time. With the ceiling, he has 300-point ceiling. Realistically, he's shown that he has that. So he's just got to stay a little bit more healthy. Obviously, that was without Christian McCaffrey. I understand that, but he still has that potential as long as he gets in the end zone. So for me, I'm taking a little bit of Trey Lance. I'm falling into the trap again. Biggest reason why is because I'm doing it in those 3 quarterback builds, like you said. For me, it's just with Brock Purdy, I just don't believe anything. I think this is probably motivation for Trey Lance from the coaching staff and the general manager. He's 3rd overall pick. They traded an absolute boatload to get him. And what's 2 other guys that we saw have success in this offense, Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard quite a few years ago. What's the difference between Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard, and Brock Purdy? In my opinion, nothing. Really nothing. Obviously, the team is a lot better now than it was when those guys were playing and having a little bit of success. But I'm taking Trey Lance because I think another reason, I think his ADP is going to skyrocket like we saw last year, right? Last year, he was like 120 and then he ended in like the 70s or something crazy like that. He's at 170 something right now. I could see him bump up all the way to, maybe 120s. And then that's just a way to potentially get unique by drafting early. So I'm taking a little bit of Trey Lance when I'm correlating with like a Debo or a Kittle or Ayuk, like you said. And I'm getting them super late and in the 3 quarterback build. So that's the only way I'm attacking it personally. But it's
So I think the only way I would take those guys is probably around 17, 18 and put them both together, like Purdy and Lance, and with like a Daniel Jones or something like that. So, a mid kind of QB and then 2 at the end. But I don't really like to do that either. But I just don't see the value. Like I get what you're saying with Lance, but I'm just there's other QBs and other teams. I'll take shots at them.
Yeah, totally fair. Absolutely fair. I can't argue that. We'll jump into another one. Javonte Williams obviously ripped apart his entire knee, pretty much everything to do with his knee. I was and kind of still am, I guess. I'm a little bit more out on him because of his knee situation. But for this year, personally, I don't think I've clicked his name once, even at ADP 90, whatever. I still won't be. I just habitually, I always have avoided running backs the year after they destroy their knee, Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook, and then I'll be more than happy to draft him at a potential discount the next year. So that's the way I'm looking at Javonte Williams. I'm not drafting him at all, and I highly doubt that I do at any point unless he falls to like, I don't know, 120 or something crazy. But what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I was looking at my numbers. I'm 1% in on him, so I bought him a little bit, and it's usually when he falls into past 100, and he's like my running back 5, like or 4 or 5 or 6. Like it's just not a chance I want to take on the Broncos. Like even when he gets 100% healthy, are the Broncos going to be a playoff team still? So are they going to be, say Williams is running great by like week 10? Are they going to be like 6-4? Like if they are, then I'd be in on them maybe. But I just don't see them as a great team, just middle of the road. So yeah, he's just not part of my builds. Usually in best ball, like that's one of the big things I've learned is like just avoid the injured players coming off injury. Like it's not a bad rule. Other people will take them, let them take the shots. You're going to get a comparable player to Javonte Williams. Maybe you're going to miss a little bit of value on him, but it's not the end of the world. So depends how you build out your roster construction, I think, more so.
Yeah, I agree with that. And to answer this question, no, I don't have too many positive takes on injured players. If I'm being honest, like there's no there's no real need to kind of bake in that risk on purpose, in my opinion, when there's other options all over the place. Like you said, like, yeah, you might miss a little bit of value, maybe at the quarterback position, but it's hard to trust injured players at wide receiver and running back. It's pretty habitual that players, have been known to favor injuries one way or the other, and then it leads to other injuries. That's exactly what happened with Saquon Barkley when he came back after his torn ACL. I think he went out with, I don't remember what it was, but it was a different injury, right, for the rest of the season. That sort of a thing that happens all the time with these skill position players, where you're cutting, juking, moving, changing speeds, all these kinds of things. It's tough on your joints, and if you're favoring one side or the other, injuries tend to come back. And similar with Breece Hall, so I'm not particularly touching him at all. I would be open to taking him, but his ADP is, to me, out of control. 30. He's exactly 30 ADP right now. And personally, I'm not touching him in the third round. That's for sure. I'll be taking, Ramondre Stevenson, even Najee Harris for sure, potentially Gibbs over Breece Hall personally. So I would be open to taking him even with the injury stuff I just talked about, but not at his ADP. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, he's another guy, 2%. I'm in on him. It's just if he falls to like round 4, is when I'm grabbing him. He's like, yeah, the first 3 rounds are too valuable for me to take that shot on Breece Hall. I get it. I get why people like him. I get, if he wasn't hurt, he would be a first round pick, right? But we just don't know. And we're coming up on the 1st of June. Like, there's so much time left. And hey, if August, all the reports are good, I'll pay a second round premium pick. That's fine. Like, but I don't feel like I'm missing out by not taking him in the 3rd round right now.
Yeah, I agree. If he falls into the late 40s, 50s ADP wise, I could certainly be enticed to take him, but not where he's at right now. That's just for me. Running back, the Vikings running back situation. What are your thoughts on that guy?
Delvin 2%, Madison I'm 4%. So I'm kind of just like,
not a lot of Madison, eh?
Yeah, my early big boards I had him, so I was drafting him probably like 20%, but not currently. Like Adam Levitan's basically smoked him up into like ADP of 80 now, which like I get, and he's even saying, oh, he should be like, in the 60s even still, and people can keep drafting him, that's fine, but like to me it's not. Like the situation is fine, and if he works in my builds as like a running back 4 type, like then I'll take him like around in that 90 range. So
I'm scooping him up a fair amount as RB3 in some sort of fragile builds. If I've got, say, I don't know, a 2nd round running back, and then I don't know, 5th, 6th round running back, that sort of a thing. And I'm just trying to round out my room for maybe a 5 running back build or 6, whatever it is. I'm baking him in a little bit, but you're right. It's a weird spot at his ADP. I find that a little bit of not a dead zone player wise, just a dead zone for me, the way I'm built when I build my teams a lot of the time. It just doesn't really fit. So I don't have a ton, but I am probably going to try to take a little more Madison if I'm being honest. And then we'll see where Dalvin Cook lands, because they're going to save 36 million. They're gonna pay him 8 in dead money, 8.2 in dead money, and save 36 million. So I don't see anybody taking that contract. I would be willing to bet a lot that Dalvin Cook is cut tomorrow.
Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, I do think both players are pretty good picks where they are right now. It's just I'm just not clicking on them every time, So I'm getting a little bit here and there.
Yeah, I'm the same. Unless Dalvin falls way past his ADP, 15 to 20 picks, then I do, just out of, what do you want from me? Mm-hmm. But other than that, I'm not finding a click there. Calvin Ridley, everybody's favorite polarizing wide receiver. What are your thoughts on Calvin Ridley this year?
Yeah, no, I love these players that you pulled for all these questions, because they really are the biggest question marks everyone's having in these drafts. Calvin Ridley, I'm back and forth on. I think it's a good click, but there's also some risk there, and it could be a smash pick too at the same time. So
you want to hear something?
I'm only 4%, which I thought I would be higher than that.
I have even less, but you want to hear something interesting about Calvin Ridley? This is his 5th year option season. Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy?
Well, yeah,
he'll be 29 this year. This is his 5th year option season. The Jags can walk away from him for nothing. 0 dead money. They can walk away and save 11 million. which so I'm not clicking Calvin Ridley a ton either, especially not before Christian Kirk.
I do like Ridley more than Kirk, so I like that risk there a little bit more.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'm a Kirk guy. I'm a Kirk truther in this instance. But then that kind of brings in something to talk about with this guy here. So I want to talk about Nuke Hopkins because that's kind of baked in with Gabe Davis with the Bills. I think a dark horse team, the Jacksonville Jaguars, just walk away from Calvin Ridley and sign DeAndre Hopkins.
So I
don't think that happens, but I just think like it's just an interesting thought.
Well, this is probably like really awful bad take, but like I just don't think Hopkins is that good anymore. I'm kind of out on him.
Breaking my heart here, man.
especially at the price. Like I just don't think it's a good click right now. So
I can hear the price tag.
Even if he goes to the Bills or the Chiefs, which I hope he does, because then I think he goes to like people are gonna steam him up to like second round, and I'm just never gonna click that guy.
Yeah. So. I hear that with the ADP where he's at, especially the injury history in the last 2 years. But I'm just such a big Nuke, truther that I'm still drafting him.
Obviously, I think he's an incredible player or whatnot. But yeah, there's just something weird about him just the last few years where I don't know. I'm just not in on him.
We'll see where he goes. The teams that I wrote down for where I could see, and we're not really talking about Gabe Davis, but we're going to quit this stuff and get into a draft so we can, respect the time here. But the teams I see him going to, because of cap space reasons and quarterback and situation, Baltimore, Detroit, maybe that's one of the least likely ones. But Baltimore, Detroit, Dallas, and then the Jacksonville idea. But they would. In this instance, they would kind of have to walk away from Calvin Ridley. Actually, they wouldn't. They have the money to keep both, but that would get aggressive. And then the New York Giants or Jets, and then the Eagles.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like wherever he goes, like I would almost rather have that QB wherever he went. Like I'd rather have more shares of that QB than him because I hear that. I think it's just going to get spread out. He's not going to be the guy. He's going to be a wide receiver 2 on whatever team he goes to at this point. So,
I think it depends on the team, but I hear you. I hear you.
No, that's what I said. It's probably a bad take. So,
no, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, and it's like he's 31 years old, whatever it is. I'm going to jump into the draft here. Anyone in the chat wants to jump in? We're doing a Best Ball Mania 4. We're going to jump in here and get this going. Go ahead.
And as you're talking there, like the Gabe Davis, like I haven't been clicking him either, but I like Shakir and I like Dawson Knox there. Like those give me 2 pieces of Josh Allen that are super cheap and nobody wants to take. So
yeah, I'm not taking enough Bills, and that needs to kind of change for me personally.
Both running backs too. Both running backs are great values.
I'm taking a lot of the running backs. I should say that I am taking a lot of the running backs, but I don't have a ton of Josh Allen, and I don't have a ton of Diggs. I don't have a ton of, I'm mixing in a little bit of late round Dawson Knox because he's borderline free. But right. and Kincaid.
You got the pick 2 here, Mr. Bengals fan. I wonder who you're taking.
I think it's pretty easy, unless you have a strong take against him.
No, I think it's
Jefferson. He goes at the 101 occasionally.
Yeah, probably a Bengals fan, probably.
Yeah, no doubt. So yeah, typically you're going Jamar Chase here if he doesn't get picked first overall for some reason.
Yeah, no, that's like a gift to you. Just all the Bengals stuff in the background,
Right?
So yeah, I'm always Jefferson, Chase, and then I'm Cooper Kupp, and then I'm kind of Tyreek Hill. And then maybe CMC after that.
I think I have a full fade on Cooper Kupp right now.
You're crazy.
I think I am. I'm not gonna lie. I think I need to change that. But just with the guys around him, I just have a hard time. Clicking them.
Like you want to take McCaffrey or Tyreek over him?
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Kelsey?
Not Kelsey. No, not Kelsey. I'm so we're good with Chase here?
Oh yeah.
Pretty easy click. No, I'm not with and that's something we didn't touch on, and we can talk about now. We didn't talk about in the pre-show. I want to get the draft going was tight end strategy. So I know I've seen some tweets from you recently where you're going just 3 late round guys and mixing in whoever you like best, if there's correlation or you have the quarterback for a stack, whatever it is. Is that kind of just what you're standing on this draft season, or what?
Yeah, so far I'm just not gonna take any of these top tight ends. Like, I'm not taking a tight end until probably 15 of them are off the board.
I was doing exactly that in the big board. Literally, except for one player. Well, there's one tight end that I'm taking relatively early, and I still am, and that's TJ Hawkinson. Beyond that, in the big board, I didn't have barely any shares of anyone even remotely close to that stature. But since the regular season drafting has kind of started, I've mixed in some Kyle Pitts quite a bit. I'm falling for the trap.
Yeah, so I just feel like tight ends just don't matter. Like, unless you have Kelsey that just smashes all year, which then I don't even want to take that shot top half of a first round right now, because a lot of questions I have there. But like, I just don't see any of these guys kind of worth it. And then the last like 3 or 4 rounds, there's just no running backs or receivers that I want. So I'd rather just, tight end does not matter to me. Give me 3 tight ends and mix and match them all. It's like my highest: Noah Fant, Mike Gesicki, Dawson Knox, Hayden Hurst, Gerald Everett, Tyler Conklin, Cole Kmet. Like, I'm just taking those kind of guys, and one of those guys are gonna go off and be a top 5 tight end, and I'm not paying any draft capital for them. So that's the way I'm playing that position.
Yeah, and that's not hard to do for a tight end to be a top 5 tight end realistically. Like, even if you're getting, conservative and you're looking for a top 10 tight end, like the difference between tight end 4 and tight end 10 is, less than 50 points.
Right.
A lot, maybe less than, 40, 30 points, something like that. So it's not that difficult to do. The only reason I like Hawkinson is I think that he can put up those type of Kelsey numbers. I really, really do. If you look at what he did in the last few weeks, or when he got traded to Minnesota, he absolutely went off, and his ADP is actually falling, which I like, because I'm gonna keep clicking him in that offense. But he's pretty much the only one. And then Pitts, I might mix in a Kittle here and there, Goddard here and there if they call for it, for if I'm stacking or correlating, or I'm trying to galaxy brain think about it too much. But realistically, it's Hawkinson or Pitts for me that I'm even thinking about kind of clicking early. But
yeah, I'm kind of opposite on Hawkinson. Like, I get it. Like, I get that he's gonna be the next Kelsey or whatever. I've heard that thrown out there before, but I honestly think he's just overvalued. And I know you're like excited that he's falling in value. I feel like he should be more in like the ADP 60 plus range. So that's why I haven't been drafting him.
I mean,
like,
what's the difference?
I'm fine taking Kittle and Goddard and Pitts.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're all kind of the same.
I
know Hawkinson had that crazy breakout and at the end of the year, and but I don't know. I'm kind of just think Jefferson's the guy there, and they brought in Addison, and I'm a big KJ Osborne fan too, so that's probably why.
That's fair. You're trying to steam up KJ, keep him thing with Jordan Addison coming in there. What do you like to do at the turn in a situation like this? I don't know if Killer Kowalski's in the draft or not, so maybe I'll wait for him or in the chat, I should say. But if I can, and it falls the way it might, I really try to mix in some Philly stack with Hurts and
I like Devontae. Yeah, I'd go Devontae here
if I can make it happen. If you look at my spreadsheet, I'm not going to pull it up again, but if you look at that, I've been drafting a ton of Eagles because I absolutely love their entire playoff schedule. It's not just week 17, like the week 17 matchup against the Cardinals. I think it's very, very likely that the Cardinals are the worst team in the NFL, especially defensively. And then the other teams they play are, it should get you there. Plus they're a fantastic team, especially in a best ball format. So the Giants and the Seattle Seahawks are week 16 and 15. So I'm taking a ton of Eagles personally.
Yeah, I think they'll have I mean, they're supposed to have the toughest schedule, and they're supposed to, they're like kind of the team that everyone's going to target to try to beat now too, right? Because they had the Super Bowl run, and yeah, so they're not going to have quite the year like they did last year. So those last games, I think they're still going to be in the battle and having their players out there. So.
And the Cowboys are a good team, so like there's a lot of people that are picking the Cowboys to win that division, and I think they have an absolutely just as good of a chance as anybody to win that division. There's been back-to-back division winners in that division in like 25 years.
Yeah, yep,
literally, sure. Like it's not something to exactly steam up. But who you liking here? You want to just stack Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, if you want to go that way. Like I think the Hurts, Devontae Smith's probably a little less than AJ Brown Hurts. So
I actually think that it's Smith.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I do. I think like AJ Brown has a little more injury potential. Not that you need to really think too much about that, but I just think that Devontae Smith is that guy. I just think he's that good. I really, really do. I don't think that the Eagles go after a guy like Nuke Hopkins, because these two guys, obviously with AJ Brown, they can absolutely more than get the job done. So I think that there's a potential that Devontae Smith outscores AJ Brown. If they're both healthy. If they're not, that throws the whole thing out the window. But if they're both healthy for the whole season or the majority of the season, I think there's a very good potential that Devontae Smith outscores them.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I mean, especially PPR. So I don't know Underdog, but yeah, like probably Brown has more touchdown upside. But yeah, Smith was a crazy value last year. He's like 6th, 7th round every time you could get him. He was my highest owned player last year.
Well, that was like the Eagles in general, because everyone's concerned about, is Jalen Hurts the guy? Is he an NFL quarterback? That sort of situation. But I think I think he put that to bed quite obviously, and now everybody's kind of course corrected on that. But yeah, what's your take on the Lamar stack with Andrews? Because realistically, the only place you can do it is where we just picked at the turn there. So you got to reach on both.
It's definitely hard to get. Usually I'll start Jefferson, like the 101, and then I'll take them both at the turn but I think I saw more people doing that more so, but I used to think it was unique. But I've seen more and more people do that. So I don't get it quite. Honestly, I'm just wanting Lamar. Like I don't care. Like I think he's going to be the QB1 end of the year. Just they're setting it up so nice for him right now. Like I think he's probably going to outscore Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts. Like I would put my money on Lamar.
Well, it's better offensive situation with Monken, right? So
and I like his stacks too. I like getting Bateman later and even Zay Flowers. Then you can end any draft with likely at the end. For tight ends that don't matter, like that's kind of my style. So I never care if I get Lamar and Andrews together. Like that's not a huge deal, but I would always click Lamar before Andrews.
I have a little bit of Travis Kelce with Lamar, and then I bring back likely at the end of the draft.
Yeah, I like that.
So I do that a fair amount just to get that stack with Lamar, and then I mix in, like you said, Zay or Bateman, and I kind of prefer Zay Flowers there. I think he's just exactly like literally stature, size, speed, everything. He is what Hollywood Brown was. So I think that it's obviously a different offense without Greg Roman, but I think Lamar's going to like that. Speaking of Lamar, he's kind of slipping in this draft here, so there you go. But it's an interesting one. There's another thing I've been throwing around in my head. I haven't had the balls to do it yet, and I won't do it in a Best Ball Mania. I would do it in a puppy or something like that, something cheap. It gave me the ideas because somebody took him at the 101. So then I started snowballing, thinking about it. It's taking Travis Kelce at the 101. And then at the turn, you come back with Patrick Mahomes and T. Higgins for that game 17 stack. That might be the nuts game 17. That's pretty much the only place you can do it is 101, maybe 102. But again, I haven't had the balls to actually do it.
Yeah. No,
So
that sounds like a puppy thing to try, right? On
yeah,
those $5 ones roll out.
yeah, that's where I'll probably give it a whirl. But what are your thoughts on that? If it, it's obviously not optimal to
Yeah. No,
take Kelsey over Jefferson or Chase, but just to get interesting and see if it's possible to get it.
oh, and last year I did something similar on the lower stakes stuff. Like I would, when I was at the turn, I would take, I would take Kelsey and Mahomes. Like Mahomes wasn't even a second round pick, but I would take him the second.
Yeah.
And then I would take Lamar and Andrews at the next turn. So I'd try to like double tap both of those, and you have the two best QBs and the two best tight ends, and then you just build out from there.
What do you like here? I think
Uh, who's at the top? Is that the top
that's
right
the
there?
top. That's the top. Yeah.
I mean, you like Hawkinson, so you can. I like Kenneth Walker. I think he's an awesome play. I like DJ Moore, and I know people are off him. Uh,
I don't mind Kenny Walker here. I think he's getting a little bit. I think we can potentially get Hawkinson if he's still there at the 50. So I'll go with Kenny Walker because I still believe in the player, that's for sure, and in the offense, he's going to get some run. So
yeah, no, I before they drafted Charbonnet, like I had Walker as like a borderline first round pick.
yeah,
Like he was.
what
And
would do you remember what he's going in the big boards?
was
Because it,
I think he was like second or late
yeah,
second, maybe third. Yeah,
like a
like
second for sure, right? So
yeah, I've been getting him in the fifth round, and I just like it's crazy.
yeah, yeah. So I don't mind that at all. I personally, and I'm sure you agree, I don't expect Charbonnet, even though I love Charbonnet, I really, really do. I don't expect him to come in and just dominate that backfield for,
No,
why would he? So
no, I
um,
actually think Kenneth Walker is a better pick than Brees Hall. Like I just think that to
I agree.
me, like that this is where Brees Hall should be going, like the fourth, fifth turn, right now,
Yeah.
until we get better news on him.
You all right if we take Hawkinson here, by the way?
I mean, that's your guy. You got to
I'm
make
on
this your
it. Yeah.
draft.
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it. But yeah, like him instead of Aaron Jones, we can have that conversation. I'm willing to have that conversation. Him instead of like you said, Kenny Walker, Ramondre Stevenson, like I said earlier in the show, even Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah, it's tough to click his name at ADP or ADP 30 in the third round. So
No, for sure. That's kind of where I'm at. But I also see people love him and like think he's a crazy value in the third round right now. So yeah, you can make your own. You have to make your own calls sometimes.
Yeah, we did. That's exactly what we said earlier in the show. But I don't know. I don't know. At the same time, it's just, yeah, it's tough to bake in that risk. Like you said earlier, if he without the injury, he should be higher ADP for sure. He should be a first round pick, like you said. But with that injury, and they're still iffy for week one. I guess if you're, but are you comfortable punting the first 4 weeks of the season at running back with a third round running back?
I mean, I think the people that think week 17 is the only thing that matters, yes, they're going to be in on that because they're already taking a lot of risk, right? They're not worried about those first 4 weeks. It's more, I only care about the end of this tournament and winning all the money.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Like we're saying earlier in the show, you got to get there. You got to get there, right? So
yeah, see, I love this build we have going. This is how I draft a lot of my teams, where I want the young players. Like I want all the skill position with young, still have like high ceilings. They're not on their downward slope at all. Like all these players we have. So
yeah,
that's kind of how I like to draft more so. Like you could have went Aaron Jones, but I'm like, and I still think he's a decent pick, but a guy like Kenneth Walker, I think there's more upside there. That's why I was kind of out on Hopkins, because I just think there's younger receivers that I'd rather just take. Things like that. That's kind of my thinking when I'm drafting.
I certainly don't disagree with that. Like, with all these guys, all these players that we drafted, I think you can say, and I would say, not a single one of these guys have hit their ceiling yet.
Yeah. I mean,
so
yeah.
in my opinion. I don't think. That's just me. I know you hate Hawkinson, so you probably think he's surpassed his ceiling, but
No, I don't hate
not hate,
Hawkinson.
but you know what I
I don't
mean.
hate him, and I don't. I mean, for this kind of a build where you already have your QB, you already have like your running back. Maybe some people don't think Walker's that running back one that they want. They'd rather have more as a running back two.
Mhm.
But I feel like he's a solid running back one on any team, especially when you have Chase and Smith as your top two receivers. Like that's like I don't hate Hawkinson here, and now you can only go one more tight end, and you can only go one more QB. So I think that opens it up a lot, where you only have to use 4 spots on 2 onesie positions.
Yeah.
So we have 14 spots we can use to running back and wide receiver to build out. So that's why I don't mind those picks. And it happens better when you get like the 101 or 102. When you can get Jefferson and Chase, you can build like this a lot easier.
100%. Yeah, 100%. It's a lot more. It's easier to get balanced and get balanced quick, and then fill out your roster before you're adding bench spots. Which there's something to be said for that, I suppose too. Obviously we're looking for spike weeks, but there's nothing wrong with having some high floor players. Like we both think Kenny Walker can be that guy. So yeah, and to be honest, Chase and Devontae are high floor guys too. So is Hurts, so is Hawkinson. But there's an argument with the tight end situation there. What are your thoughts for pick coming up 71 here?
I was gonna say Hollywood Brown. Like
Say.
he's the guy that I've been
Yeah.
smashing. So he's like the 6th round must draft for me every time.
Yeah.
George Pickens, Traylon Burks, Deontay Johnson. Those are the 3 names that I like right now. Obviously, you could go Goddard and just be done at tight end, and you get this double stack.
I mean, and I know you just touched on it with the Kelsey Andrews thing, where neither of these guys potentially are elite, not like those two, but there's good potential that one of these, if we did that, which I can certainly be talked out of, and I don't think we will, but one of those tight ends is going to land in your flex spot in a fair amount of weeks, or a few weeks anyways.
Oh, and if you get that team into the playoffs and you have both those guys, yeah. So I'm going Goddard here.
Yeah, with the wide receivers just getting sniped on us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still
not going Madison. Yeah.
It's definitely Goddard. Then you're just done, and that's a really strong tight end combo.
Yeah, and with the wide receivers, these two are going to be in our lineup pretty much every week. One of these two obviously will be in the lineup every week, and then some weeks, all 4 of these guys with the flex spot is going to be gobbled up by these 4. So I don't despise it either. That's for damn sure. So
I mean, I guess you miss out taking a late tight end on some flyer, and you could have used that spot for a receiver. So maybe end of the year, you're looking back, man, if I would have went receiver here instead of double tapping Hawkinson and Goddard, that was a dumb call. But
and then what are your thoughts here for wide receiver? Definitely going wide receiver or running back, obviously. So what are your clicks here? I think we can agree not Cook.
I was just gonna wait to see what this guy does, because I have a guy that I think should go a round or 2 even earlier. And Dotson, he would be my pick over. I like that. Definitely over Addison, definitely over Gabe Davis, and Cooks. Like Dotson is the last of the best receivers, and I think he's the best value right now. I've heard Josh Norris say this a lot too. Like he's his highest owned, but he's way better than all those rookies receivers like Smith and Jigba and Addison. Like you have to be taking Dodson over these guys. Like I don't understand why you would take those other guys.
Yeah, he would be the first wide receiver drafted in this year's draft.
Oh yeah,
but a lot of the guys last year would be, because it was a very good wide receiver draft. And even though it was a very good wide receiver draft, he was one of the first drafted, and comfortably a first round pick. So, do you think that he? And I'll ask you first. Do you think that he has the potential to take over as the wide receiver 1 on the the Commanders this year?
Yeah, I think he'll be a favorite. Whoever the QB is there, like he's gonna be their red zone favorite and just downfield and just everything. Like, what did he play 12, 14 games as a rookie and like a bunch of spike weeks, 7 touchdowns, I think. He ended the year on a crazy streak.
Yeah.
He has the draft capital. McLaurin, love the guy too, but I think you could pick McLaurin or Dotson at the same ADP and it's not crazy. Like you could take Dotson where McLaurin's going right now.
Well, especially, if it's whether it's Howell or Brissett, it doesn't matter. Neither of those guys are some big deep ball thrower that's gonna, be bombing balls to 50-yard bombs to Terry McLaurin. And that's where Terry McLaurin, gets his spike weeks and makes his hay. But Dotson's gonna have 8 catches for 120 and a touchdown, right? Like more consistently than Terry McLaurin would do that. In my opinion.
Well, and I think we've only seen glimpses of what he can do as a rookie, and give him a whole nother offseason, and he's going to gel with one of these QBs, whoever it is. And I don't know. I just think he's a really good pick. I could see him being more of like a 4th, 5th round pick by August.
Yeah, I could certainly see him getting steamed up, like you said. What's McLaurin at right now? 47.
Yeah, 47.
It would be tough for him to get there, but I like you said, I don't think it's maybe they meet in the middle, right? Like
I think it'd be more like both around 55. Like that's 55 to 60 in that range. Like both of them. That's where I see both of them at.
I could see that happening by the end of the year. By when we're drafting in August, I could see that definitely coming to fruition, especially if he gets steamed up, which that we're almost there. It starts like tomorrow or the next day, where everybody's going to start to get steamed up, and Trey Lance is going to end up ADP 96.
Man, you keep talking Trey Lance. I don't know. I hope you're right. But...
I'm gonna like I said, I'm not like a huge believer. I'm mixing him in a little bit, and it's when it's typically when it's 3 QB builds, because I don't trust him enough in a 2 QB build. So unless it's like
I'm already right.
Right.
I'm already ready to write him off for his career. Like,
or that's exactly why I'm not taking him in 2 QB builds. Right. So yeah, I'll take a risk on 3.
I'll probably draft him in like XFL in 2 years, but
yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Some DFS XFL stuff. What are you thinking here? We're a couple picks away, obviously not going tight end. We're wrapped up there. Wide receivers are looking good. We got Jalen Hurts. Don't think it's completely necessary to take a quarterback. So potential for running back is getting pretty high here, eh?
I love Montgomery. He's another guy people don't like. They gave him a ton of money. I know Gibbs is scaring people off of Montgomery. Maybe they shipped Swift out. Like they're all in on Montgomery more than people think.
What's your thoughts? Side note, quickly on Alvin Kamara.
He's a do not draft.
You got him as dust, eh?
Well, he just didn't look good last year, and he's gonna miss a bunch of games, and maybe he misses the whole year even, and maybe he just gets cut, and maybe no one takes a chance on him ever again. It's like I don't think it's gonna go that extreme, but yeah, I like the other guys there in New Orleans. I'm taking Jamal Williams. I'm taking the Miller kid. Like Miller kid's one of my highest owned. Like
really?
He's nice in those late builds when you're running back, when you're going pretty thin at running back.
We'll talk about that more in a second here, because I want to touch on that. What are your thoughts here?
Bateman is like, I know you're not in on him, but he's one of my guys this year, so I'm in on Bateman a lot.
I don't hate that. I'm kind of really liking Elijah Moore as well.
Yeah, I like Bateman and Sutton, and then I'd probably go Elijah Moore. That's kind of how I'd rank them. But if you're in on Elijah Moore, I'm cool with that too.
Let's go Bateman. We'll go Bateman here. I don't have much of them, to be honest with you. I pretty much only have them in stacks with Lamar, so I'm okay to take them here. But we kind of got scooped on running back there. which is fine. Oh yeah, we'll touch on it after this pick. I think we got to go running back here. Well, we don't have to, but
so yeah, I think you're already running back.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world to not really. Like obviously we'd have to draft, 6 or maybe even 7 running backs to kind of even it out depending on how we finish out the draft here, but
so yeah, probably AJ Dillon. He's one of my highest owned.
Yeah, that would be the way I go with this too. Of these guys,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like of
I
the
like
guys,
both. I like both the Washington guys too, but you don't have to take them this early. Usually, one of them will fall to you.
Yeah, I agree. I like Washington as well, especially at ADP for Gibson.
Yeah,
It's getting steamed up, mind you, because a week ago it was late 20s, 120s.
Yeah, so
I
mean, if you want to go Elijah Moore and you want to chance it, or I'd go AJ Dillon.
I'd go AJ Dillon. Yeah, I mean, I love Kenny Walker. Don't get me wrong, but I'd like at least a somewhat strong RB2 that has all the potential in the world to completely. I mean, he has had this potential for the past 3 years since he came into the league to completely take over that backfield. But this could be the year, and regardless, you're getting a good floor with them, I think. So I've always been a massive fan, and I've drafted a ton of AJ Dillon since he came into the league. So
yeah, and this is the cheapest you've got him, right? Like every year he is a lot more expensive than this.
Yeah, and any sort of injury talk or even some negativity about Aaron Jones, even though there wouldn't be, because Aaron Jones is a stud and he's actually just an excellent human being, it sounds like, from everything I've seen and heard. So I don't expect anything like that. But if there's any sort of injury talk that creeps up over the summer, AJ Dillon's going to skyrocket to the 40s. He'll go if let's say if Aaron Jones gets hurt, tears his ACL. If he tears his ACL, AJ Dillon bumps up to the 30s in ADP.
Yeah, maybe even more.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a young quarterback there. They love AJ Dillon. So,
yeah. I mean, I hope that I never hope that happens. That's for sure. I'm just thinking theoretically over here. So yeah, and again, we're literally, you could still say about every single player on this team, they probably have not hit their ceiling yet.
Yeah, and I think that's how you want to build. And even, I guess we haven't even touched on the total points, right, aspect of this as well. And I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that actually. So
that is kind of flawed though, because I've seen that the total points get inflated if there's like some Yahoo drafts 5 quarterbacks and then their projected points are skyrocket.
Oh no, I meant like the total points cumulative prizes, right?
Oh,
like,
gotcha. Yeah,
so
yeah.
5 million of the prizes are going to that. Like 1/3 of all the prize money is going to that aspect of it, where I think you can mix both of the strategies in with going more like higher ceiling players, younger players, and all these players. If you get all these spike weeks in the right time, like you're getting not free money, but you're going to give yourself a shot at both aspects of this tournament. So
yeah, and I'm glad you touched on that, because they're paying more than one person. Last year there was one prize for the regular season of $1 million, which is a little, you're not playing for that, right? This year there's, I think it's up to like 20,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
they get a couple bucks. So
it's actually, you get $250, right? The top 10,000. Top 10,000 teams, you get at least $250. So
there you go. That's a good few buy-ins back, right? So when I've been thinking about that aspect of it, there's 2 quarterbacks in particular that I draft on those teams every single time, and that's Geno Smith and Deshaun Watson, just because of the divisions that they play in and the defenses that they're going to play twice a year. So my thought process is those 2 guys are going to give me a reasonable amount of, mind you, they both have the same bye week, so that kind of hurts putting them on the same team. But those are 2 guys that I'm drafting in every single lineup if I'm playing for or trying to think about that regular season prize.
No, I think Gino is a great value right now.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best, honestly, at QB. Like, I don't think you can get a better QB value. I think Watson too. Watson's one I'm buying. If you miss all the top guys, I know like there's a lot of negatives out there about him, just like with everything that's happened. But before that, he was like chance to be the top QB in the whole league. So
Yeah.
I don't think he gets back to that, but I think that QB5, top five is in range.
Yeah. Say what you want about him as a person, but
Yeah, for
as
sure.
a football commodity, and that's what we're playing with right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
like him.
like Gibson and Harris here.
I like Harris because I don't particularly want two commanders with the
Mhm.
Dotson.
Yep.
So I like Harris for sure. I think, and there's a couple guys, a couple running backs that I'm looking at in a very similar fashion. One of them is Damian Harris. Another guy is David Montgomery that you mentioned earlier. I like Montgomery as well. I wanted to touch on that. The comp or the stat line that I'm looking at for those two guys, Harris and David Montgomery, is this guy last year,
Mm,
right there.
yeah.
Maybe less carries.
That's crazy. You had 12 touchdowns. Like, I didn't
Yeah,
even think about that.
yeah. That's what I'm like kind of thinking is probably less carries, similar yards, similar touchdowns for
Yeah.
both. And I'm not saying that's the floor, but that's what I'm looking at them as David Montgomery and Damian Harris is
Uh,
Zeke last year. What are your thoughts here?
I really like Gibson. I know you don't like the double, but I don't know. I think
I
he's the
mean, I
best.
don't,
I think
yeah,
he's the best pick.
I don't hate it. I definitely don't hate it considering who's on the board.
Uh,
Yeah,
I mean, Jacoby Myers maybe, but
that's the other guy I was kind of pondering is
if you want
Jacoby,
to go
but
Myers, I'm fine. I'm fine with that too.
I don't mind like mixing in avoiding bye weeks here.
Hmm.
So I don't mind that. I don't hate it. And now we're balanced. We're completely balanced. Obviously, like we said, we're done at tight end. We're probably only going five running backs here.
Yeah,
Like,
I like all these running backs. Just like they're a fun story. Every one of them. Like
mhm.
Walker, I just think he's the guy in Seattle. Like Dylan has a chance to be the guy. You know, Harris touchdown machine. I think Gibson is he's just underrated.
Well,
So
you can even put AJ Dillon in this conversation,
yeah,
even with
yep.
a healthy Aaron Jones, right? So with where he's getting drafted at the ADPs, like that's pretty free money if you ask me. So yeah, and I think yeah, Gibson in that offense with Eric Bieniemy, I'm not upset about that. What are your thoughts on this?
Uh, sorry, I'm a little cough there.
No worries
No,
on
on
this comment
Gibson.
here. Yeah,
Oh,
on this
smash.
comment. Yeah.
I mean, we could go Howell. That's not bad.
Yeah, I don't love it. I don't love it just because and to be honest, it's with the whole team, but I'm still taking these guys. I just don't love the quarterback situation there because there's who knows with
Yeah.
Sam Howell, but also the defenses in that division, mostly just the Dallas and Philly. Those are very, very, very good defenses. I think Dallas might have the best defense in the NFL this year.
Yeah, I think Dallas is gonna give the Eagles more trouble than people think. So
I might be betting on the Cowboys to win that division. We'll see. I do a bet where I parlay all 8 division winners. I bet usually a pretty substantial amount of money. One year it was quite close. I got one wrong. It went all the way till 3 games into week 17 when there was only 16 games.
oh wow,
I ended up cashing it out for like 11 G's.
jeez.
And
What
it
would
got
it have hit if it would have hit?
like 500 grand.
Oh,
But it
jeez.
was all the way up to like 29,000 being offered as a cash
Right,
out.
right,
But I was like, man, fuck it. Like it was like it was like $500. That's usually what I bet is $500. So it's a large bet. Don't get me wrong. I put a ton of work into it. I'm not just
Yeah.
out, pick these 5 teams or whatever. I put a ton of work into it. And I've, if you look at cash out money, obviously with when I cashed out for 11 grand, I'm way plus money. I could lose this bet for the next 10 years and I'm still plus money. But
that's not the goal at the end.
That's not the goal. No, the only reason I cashed out was at the very end. It was just, there was no way. It was the Packers. I'd picked the Vikings to win the division. That was the only one I got wrong. That was when San Francisco won the division when they were not supposed to. So what was that? I don't know, 2019, 2018, something like that, 2020, whatever. No, 2019, whatever it was. Anyways, I might be betting on, point of that story, I might be betting on the Cowboys in that one because I like their team. I really do. Especially the defense.
Probably help your odds a little bit too, right?
That's exactly that. Those are the types of things I look at. I even look at the early season schedule just for a potential cash out dollars. Like I took the Patriots a couple years ago and I cashed out plus money because I had a good feeling they would do well early in the season and then they would kind of get steamed up odds wise. But either way, what do you like in here?
This is the hard part of the draft, right? But I like
this is the dead zone.
Nico's the guy that I would put at the top of my board.
Nico Collins?
Yeah, I'm big on Nico one more time, especially in this build where we already have 4 receivers deep. I like KJ Osborne. I like Romeo Dubes.
Wow. We're going to have some conversations in a second here.
No, that's good.
I have a hard time picking any of those guys, if I'm being honest.
No, that's fine. That's fair. Like, I just like who's the guy in Houston? Are you gonna go with Woods? Or are you gonna go with Tank Dell? Like, who are you picking in Houston?
So I like to reach here, if I'm being honest. I like to dip to like Tank or Jaden Reed. I'm a huge Jaden Reed believer right now. Even Van Jefferson, I don't hate. Nico went, so I'm happy with that. KJ, I don't hate. But this is a bit of a dead zone. I've been clicking this name a lot, actually, as well. Jalen Hyatt, just because he has massive spike week potential. And who's the guy there? So, like you said with Houston, who's the guy in New York?
Yeah, you can click on him. He's not a guy I've been on a lot, but one thought I had on our roster right now, like we're kind of set. Like this is a good roster for
floor
your starters. They're in there. Once we hit the week 11, 12, I think you want to build out almost like a second tier roster here, where if you really wanted to kind of push for those playoff weeks and like a Hyatt and these younger guys are guys you're going to want to go for.
Yeah, that's the first rookie on our squad. So
I mean, we have a lot of second year kind of players though.
Yeah. But I'm more than happy to not be taking a ton of rookies this year. Obviously, it's just a bit of a weak class. So I don't want to be taking a ton. But in this kind of dead zone where we're at, I think it's a complete dead zone for the entire draft. That's why I'm just reaching I'm steaming up some ADPs because I don't really like any of them. But we'll get this pick out of the way, and then we got to chat about Nico Collins. I despise Nico Collins at his ADP. But what are your thoughts right here?
I mean, I think the safe pick would be like an Alec Pierce. Like he's young too, but I know you like Tank, and I don't mind Tank for this build, and I don't mind like I'm not Roshan Johnson. Like I'm not clicking on him. Like I'd rather have Tank over him. I think Algier is kind of interesting as well.
Yeah,
where obviously he's getting steamed down with everything that's going on there.
I don't mind Tank for the standalone value, and I'm a big. I actually think like at value. At ADPs, I think Tank might be the kind of best rookie running back in the draft this year for fantasy purposes. Obviously, Bijan, but he's first
rookie
round
of the year on Tank.
No, like I'm not going to steam him up. Like I'm not going to steam him up there, but it's. I just really like Tank Dell when I was watching rookie tape on him. I really liked him. I thought. I mean, he went in the NFL draft where I thought he should, but a lot of people, I think, were surprised and didn't expect him to be a third-round pick. I thought he would for sure be a third-round pick, potentially a second-round pick. I really do think he's that good of a running back. Just played for a kind of a shitty school and, yeah, whatever offense. So, yeah, I just really like him. I really like him. But let's talk about Nico Collins. I was a massive drafter of Nico Collins for probably the last 2 years. At his ADP, which was over 200, both times, right?
Right.
And now we're sitting here 1 year later where he's done the exact same thing 2 years in a row, and we're just saying that Nico Collins is the guy in Houston at ADP 130. Whereas Tank Dell, I'm off of Robert Woods. I'm not drafting Robert Woods, but I am drafting Tank Dell a lot. I really like Tank Dell as a player as well. I'm just really out on Nico Collins at ADP. Like, I will never I will not be drafting him once at his ADP unless he falls closer to like 180. I'm way out on Nico Collins personally. So that's just my take on it.
Are you just out on Houston in general?
No, I love taking a lot of Houston actually. Like I'm stacking Stroud a lot because you can do it super late. So if I in a build like this, I actually do it a fair amount. Where if we hadn't taken Goddard, what I'll do is I'll get Dalton Schultz, and then I'll take Devin Singletary, and then Stroud or Tank Dell instead of Singletary.
No, I guess I'm doing the same. If I look at my percentages, I bet you I'm not even that high on Nico. But it's more, I'm doing the same. Singletary is one of my top owned, and I think Schultz is very undervalued right now as well. So yeah, like Singletary, I'm 19% on. I guess Nico, I am 14%. Dalton Schultz, 11%. Stroud, 9%, But yeah, I probably should get more Tank Dell too.
I just, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. He stays at home. He went to school in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
He had back-to-back 1,000-yard. I don't know if he was 100 catches the last 2 years in college, but he was last year. I don't know if he was the year before. But just a high-volume slot guy like that, just check-down guy. I think that Stroud will really like that. I think that he has the potential to be the the wide receiver one in that offense, in a bad offense that's going to have to throw the ball a fair amount. So, yeah, Bobby Trees is not that guy anymore. That's for sure. And I'm nowhere near close to naming Nico Collins that guy. That's for sure.
I don't think I was ever naming him that guy. It's more.
No, but it's more of like,
right? I think it's more. I think it's more of the construction for me, where if he's going to be my wide receiver 6 or 7, like I'm fine. If it misses, it misses. Like,
yeah,
because usually I'm going also 3 late tight ends where like I'm already have those receivers pushed up pretty high, so Nico's not going to hurt my team at all.
Yeah, I get that. I can understand, especially because like we talked about for a few minutes there, like that is not only like the wide receiver dead zone, that's the entire draft dead zone right there. There's really nothing that I particularly love. And that's probably why I see myself clicking Jalen Hyatt so much, because I'd rather just take that high upside spike week guy that could be the wide receiver one in that offense. That's why I'm
I'm kind of on the same side where, like, the Giants receivers, I can't really click any of them. I'd rather just take Slayton at the end,
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I think Hyatt's just kind of like, I don't know. Was he he wasn't first, right? He was
he ended up in the third, I believe, but he won the I can't remember the name of the trophy, but the best wide receiver in college trophy. He won that last year, which was a bit of a surprise, but yeah, as a straight just speedster, just a speed guy, field stretcher, which they could definitely use. Mind you, you could certainly make an argument that that's Slayton, but yeah, I think that he just could be that guy. I always am willing to take a chance on the unknown. And that's kind of what you're getting with him. What do you like here? I'm a big fan of Marvin Mims. I think Singletary is way undervalued. But I don't know if we want to take another running back here.
I don't hate Singletary there because it dries up pretty good. And I think you're only going to go 2 QBs. So I don't think that. But Mims, go with Mims, I think. See if Singletary lasts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we could take Chase Brown. Look behind me. Big fan.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, what your thoughts are. Oh, I really like Shahid as well, but he might be a Nico Collins kind of guy to you. Like that's the vibes I'm getting here.
Yeah, I just think that Michael Thomas isn't dead yet, and
Man, he's been dead for 3 years.
yeah. Well, I think this is the
So,
year that
so is so is Trey Lance.
I've literally been off Michael Thomas for the past 2 years because I just
Yeah,
don't believe him. I don't believe him. Don't believe him. I don't. What I was saying last year is I don't believe he wants to play football anymore.
yeah, no,
I don't believe him. Like,
him and Kenny Galladay probably just gonna hang
yeah,
out or something, do something together.
yeah. But so here we'll talk about that. I mean I don't mind Taekwon, but I mean I don't think we need 6 running backs, but I really like the value there.
I like 6 running backs because I think you're gonna
Yeah.
go eight receivers.
Yeah.
And like,
And with
where are you gonna add the other player?
Yeah, and with the top 2 wide receivers we have kind of room, and I think Singletary's very undervalued. But my thoughts on Chase Brown are I'm extremely high on Chase Brown because I've since I'll say since Joe Mixon's second year, I liked him as a rookie, and then once we saw what he is, in my opinion, what he is, I think he's the most overrated running back in the NFL. And I've thought that since literally his second season in the NFL.
He
He's
gets
just
25 carries for 59 yards. Like he has
yeah,
like 4 of those games.
exactly. The only reason he's been steamed up to where he's been steamed up to is because he gets the volume. You
Yeah.
throw in countless other running backs in that offense, and they do the exact same, if not better than him, in my opinion. He's always looking to hit a home run. He's always trying to run for a 60-yard touchdown. He doesn't take 4 or 5 yards when he can get it. He's really just not that good. If you look at his yards per carry, take out the week he had last year against Carolina, he was super pedestrian. I've just never been a big believer in Joe Mixon whatsoever. And then on top of that, he's another guy that could be cut tomorrow. The Bengals save a boatload of money by cutting Joe Mixon. And for me,
Yeah, that would be silly though. Like if
no,
they're in this
hear me
window
out.
right now to win.
Hear me out. Hear me out. If I'm the Browns, if my last name is Brown and I'm running the Cincinnati Bengals, what I do is I cut Joe Mixon and I sign Ezekiel Elliott, local hero, Ohio State guy. He's still a good back all around, goal line guy. He's one of the best pass protectors in the entire NFL.
Oh yeah, Burrow could use that.
Exactly. And then you got Chase Brown to do all the other little things that Samaje Perine did and just some other good things, carry a little more of the load. So you split those two guys, 1A, 1B. That's what I do if I'm the Bengals. And especially because it's Ezekiel Elliott, played at Ohio State, right? So he's still only 27, Zeke is. So that's what I do. If I'm
You wouldn't bring him into play to beside him? You wouldn't would you be cool with like Mixon and Zeke like side by side?
No. I just want to save the money with with Mixon. They save over 10 mil for the next 2 seasons. So like with the Vikings, they're spending 8.2 in dead money to save 36. The Bengals are spending like under 3, like 2.5 to save 20 something, like 25. So that's what I'm doing. I don't think Mixon's worth the money, to be honest. I just cut him and then sign something. Defense, offensive line, anything, whatever. Bring in Zeke for a discount. They could even, I mean, I don't see it happening, and I know for a fact it will not, but they could go after DeAndre Hopkins. They have the cap space to do it right now without even cutting Mixon. But yeah, I could get on board with any of those scenarios. I'm not a big Joe Mixon fan. Never has been.
That's saying something for being a fan of the team too, right? So
yeah. I just never been able to kind of get behind him realistically. So, anyways, since his second year. Before that, it was kind of whatever. What are your thoughts on mixing in a little Houston stack like I was talking about?
I mean, the Stroud's there. It's probably the way you're going to go, right?
It's kind of there for the taking.
Yeah, he might go. Like all these guys they all have 2, 3 quarterbacks, so they're probably not taking them.
Yeah. So unless you're going to make a strong case for Claypool or Thornton.
I actually like both of those
So do
players,
I.
and
So
I like Renfro too. So
yeah.
I have issues with Renfro. Like I just the way how late he goes, and I don't know. It's nice to have a couple kind of floor kind of players, and I think he's a good one.
I agree with all of that. I agree with all those players. I don't mind Renfro at all. I was a huge draft of him last year, and he got hurt. What do you do?
Yeah.
And he showed towards the end of the season that he can be one of those guys still. He should be comfortable in that offense. You don't even have to squint very hard, and you see Wes Welker or Julian Edelman,
Oh, and
right?
that team is kind of lined up to be really bad. Like
Yeah,
you can already see like Adams kind of quitting on the team after 3-4 games, and
yeah.
somehow he wants to get traded or just cut, or he just some injury pops up and you never see him again.
So if you want to go this route, because I don't mind it at all, taking Claypool now and then Stroud, because I highly doubt this guy takes a quarterback.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it. So and that's another thing for just for people out there, strategy wise. I'll do this all day, every day. Is just dare guys to snipe me. Like if you want to take 3 quarterbacks, be my guest, just to kind of screw me over. Not because it's a stream, but if it just in general, like when you're drafting and you're like, oh man, I don't know, I should take this guy here. But look down the line, see what they've drafted, see who you think they might take. And if this guy wants to take, a third quarterback for no reason, more power to you. So that's kind of how I do it. And then I'm getting value at Claypool instead of him sniping me on Claypool.
Well, I think it's easier too when you have Jalen Hurts as your QB1, right? So it doesn't matter if we don't get Stroud. It's not the end of the world. You get whoever just to fill in for a bye week and a week here and there.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
No, but I like that. I like you showing that strategy because I think it really you should watch the board. You should kind of see what other people are doing, and it lines up so nice. And not that they were going to draft. They might have drafted Claypool, right? No, they went tight end, running back, but
if he was on the board, right?
Yeah, and I don't think a lot of people are in on Claypool either. So he's kind of he's just way better than Woods or Tim Patrick. Like I don't know, they gave up a lot for him, and the Bears are good. Bears are going to be fun.
Yeah, basically a first round pick they gave up for him.
Yeah,
like 32nd pick, and I said this last week as well. Bears are one of my teams I'm kind of planting a flag on for drafting a ton of them. Like all the players, the tight end, running back, wide receivers, quarterback, all the Bears. And the other team is the Atlanta Falcons, and they play each other week 17. So I'm drafting a lot of those two teams for a lot of reasons, and week 17 being a small part of that reason, but not, certainly not the whole picture. That's for sure. I'm drafting a lot of those two teams personally.
Yeah, no, I kind of have the Bears pegged as kind of like the Eagles of last year. Just they have all those kind of offensive pieces. And it's either if they don't do it this year, then it's like I think it's blow it all up, right? So they went all in on DJ Moore, and they've the draft they got some weapons, and so I agree.
And if it doesn't work out, they're essentially a quarterback away with Claypool, DJ Moore, all the running backs they have. The offensive line's in a great spot now. Their defense sucks, but that's also another reason why I'm picking like a lot of Bears and the Falcons and whoever they play in the playoffs, to be honest. So yeah,
have you been looking at the week 17 stuff doing this? Because I don't even know the matchups, so I don't even know if you've been paying attention to that.
Well, I have 2 screens, so I'll have it up on one screen just so I can kind of look at it. And again, it's only if I'm like between 2 players and there's some sort of correlation with a matchup. Like if it's a Bear or I don't know, Patriot. I'll probably take the Bear over the Patriot, depending on, what's going on. But that's just a very loose example. So no, I don't have it memorized. That's for damn sure. There's a couple that I do, like the Eagles and the Cardinals. I'm taking a ton of Eagles because they're a good team offensively. I'm taking Eagles anyways, right? Yeah. That has nothing to really do with it. But if I'm bringing it back with a couple Cardinals, I don't mind doing that. Like Rondale Moore, I'm taking a fair amount for a few different reasons there too. So
you could even do the Greg Dortch here, or whoever that Michael
Trey McBride is the one I'm doing a little bit.
There's that rookie too. What's that rookie receiver that people in?
Michael Wilson.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm willing to. I'd rather take Dortch over Wilson personally. Dortch is, he's been 10 catch guy, 100 plus yards more than once last year. So
I feel like if you think those teams are going to be really bad, those kind of teams, like Greg Dortch is the guy that's going to be playing week 17,
right?
Like he's going to be their wide receiver 1 in week 17. If they're
100%.
If they're like only 3-win team, like he's their number 1 receiver.
Yeah, because couldn't you just see, obviously Nuke's gone now, but couldn't you just see Hollywood Brown just kind of checking out completely by then? He might not even play week 17 even if he's healthy. They'll just be like, don't worry about it.
He's one of my favorite players. I love that guy. So even if I think the Cardinals are going to be really bad, I'm still going to be drafting that guy.
I'm drafting a ton of Marquise Brown. Don't get me wrong, because of everything I just said about the Eagles. So that's my in the whole time, because Hopkins not on this team, but he's the guy that I've been drafting a lot of, because I've been just correlating with Eagles, and I like him as a player anyways. So yeah, I'm taking quite a bit of Hollywood Brown. Plus what he did last year, when he was healthy, it was pretty encouraging stuff. So.
One guy's going to take a tight end here. He's only got one, but I like Shakir a lot, and I like Dell. So those are the two I would be eyeing here.
Yeah, I'm thinking the
go with the Houston guy.
Yeah, let's take it. Plus they play the Tennessee Titans, one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL, twice in the fantasy playoffs, week 15 and 17.
No,
which I think bodes well for Derrick Henry.
I think he's fun with this build. But you got Jalen Hyatt, you got Marvin Mims, and then you got Dell as well. Like some nice rookies there.
Let's take a look at this one. Let's name it too, so we don't forget.
Yeah, hopefully it lands in the playoffs for you, and maybe it's a high scoring team.
So yeah, Jalen Hurts, CJ Stroud. I like doing that because, chances are pretty high that Jalen Hurts is going to be in our lineup every single week except for week 10.
Well, right? even if Stroud is not starting week 1, you have 10 weeks for him to start, so he covers Hurts by.
Yeah, exactly. And then Kenny Walker, AJ Dillon, Damian Harris, Antonio Gibson, Tank Bigsby, and Devin Singletary. I think we got great value. I mean, considering how late we took our first running back, I actually love this running back room.
Yeah, I agree, especially with 6. Like, I know you said you didn't want to go to 6, but I kind of like going 6 when you do the 2 QB and 2 tight end. Like, I think that opens a different draft up for you when you're going with the more elite QB and the elite tight end.
Yeah, this is overwhelmingly the majority of builds that I have.
Okay.
The 2-6-8-2. Like that's my pretty much go-to build 95% of the time, to be honest, unless I'm mixing in a 3 QB Trey Lance. But yeah, so I don't mind that at all, especially with where we had our wide receivers so early and our studs with Chase Smith, and we got Dotson, Bateman, Jalen Hyatt, Marvin Mims, Chase Claypool, and Tank Dell. Maybe a little too many rookie wide receivers, especially because I shit on them for a bit there. But yeah, I like this room as well. Definitely high upside with our big kind of floor guys here too. So like that. And then the power tight ends with Hawkinson and Goddard, full 3 player stack with Jalen Hurts, 3 player stack with CJ Stroud. I like it.
Yes. So I think it's and I kind of touched on that for a minute, where you kind of want to build out that core of like 10 to 12 players, right? That are just going to be your guys. And if they go down, you've spent premium picks on them, and that's going to be rough to recover from.
Yeah.
But you're expecting them to take off and be the guy that you drafted. But I think that kind of that, last 30-40% of that draft is we kind of got get fun guys for the playoffs. You get this team into the playoff rounds, and some of these guys could break out. So
yeah, I think there's every potential for Marvin Mims to end up being the wide receiver 1, believe it or not. I really think that there's potential. It's a low percentage. Don't get me wrong, very low percentage, but it's within the realm of possibility for me. Second round pick, the regime's only wide receiver that they chose to have. He's got elite speed. Russell Wilson throws an elite deep ball. So yeah, I'm willing to take the risk on Marvin Mims. I have a lot of him, to be honest with you. So there you go. But yeah, I appreciate you joining me on the draft here. We'll get you out of here because I went way over time. So
it was good time. So no worries.
Yeah, huge thank you for coming on, James. Really, really appreciate it. So yeah, I'll give the people a quick goodbye, where they can find you, follow you on Twitter, all that sort of stuff, and we'll get you out of here.
Yeah, I'm just at James Brimacombe, Twitter, and I'm always in the lobbies. Usually Underdog, probably 90% of my drafts are there. So when that puppy launches, I'll be ready, and I'll probably be seeing you there. So.
Yeah, we'll see you in the streets. Maybe I'll get back to you, and maybe we'll have you on later in the season if you're down for that. We'll come full circle on maybe a puppy draft or something if you're free. So yeah, huge thank you, appreciate it, everybody. Come back next week. We'll have another guest for you. I'll have another. I always say we, but it's just me. I'll have another guest for next week. Once again, thanks a lot for coming on, James. Appreciate it, and we'll see you guys in the streets, and we'll see you next week.